What's up, YouTube world? This is Steven again. It is currently 7:41 p.m. on June 2nd of 2023, and I would like to welcome you all to my third book review. In this book review, I'm going to be reviewing Desperation by Stephen King. And as usual, if you don't want any spoilers, leave now. If you're still here, well, that's your fault. So Desperation is a book about, well, it's actually a book about a lot of people. You got Mary and Peter Jackson, or the Jacksons. You got David, Pye, Ellen, and Ralph Carver, and you got Johnny Marinville. And what happens to them is they get caught on Highway 50, which is the main road that this book is about, by a cop, and he only refers to himself as Tack. And if you know, you know. So the police officer ends up finding a bag of pot in the Jackson's car, left over by, I think it's Mary's sister, and so he takes them in, and then he says that there is a killer on the loose, or some madman with a gun on the loose near the highway. So he takes the Carvers in, and then he takes Johnny Marinville in because he's illegally parked while he's trying to take a piss on the end of the highway, or off the highway. And so he has all of them in jail cells, and what everyone notices is that he's deteriorating. His body is deteriorating, and what happens is the main premise is that Tack, or God, pretty much, needs to find another host in order to enter Tack's body, and so it can still thrive and live within the city of Desperation. And that's why this book is called Desperation, because it's in a city or a county called Desperation. And the first one, the cop, is called Collie Entragien, and the group is called the Collie Entragien Survivor Society, I think they're called. And the thing about that is David Carver, the son, the young boy, is very religious, and he prays to God a lot. And I think his mom, Ellen, I don't think really believes in God. And what happens is Collier, as he's slowly but surely deteriorating, he gets Ellen and takes her away from everyone, so that before he dies, he needs to find a new host, and now that new host is Ellen. And they all end up escaping the cells later on because David ends up squeezing through one of the bars using Irish spring soap. He lathers himself with Irish spring soap and slips through the bars, including getting his head through the bars, which one of the characters, he wasn't really that main of a character, said that's impossible. I think he's like a veterinarian or something is the other one. I forget his name, but yeah, he wasn't really that important to the book. He was introduced kind of later. But yeah, David slips through the bars and goes to this building and finds the keys to the cell. When he gets back, people tell him the coyote that pretty much Collie interacts with is right at the door, and tells him to shoot up with the shotgun. So he does. He shoots him, and yeah, frees everyone, and they all go to a theater. And while they're going to a theater, this guy named Steve, who is who's like good friends, or is Johnny Marinville's client, or is Johnny's his boss or something in the theater industry, I don't know. But they all go to a movie theater, and then Steve and a hitchhiker he met along the way, Cynthia, meet them there, and they also bring along a woman named Audrey, who works at, I think, a diner or a laundromat. I'm not sure. It's one or the other. But then they end up all spending the night, or most of the night at least, at the diner, and they figured out that they're still trying to find Ellen, who is the boy David, his mother. He ended up losing his sister that earlier that day because she got shoved down the stairs he called her Pie. I forget what her real name was, but yeah, and Mary ended up losing Peter Jackson, because Collie shot him and killed him. And then later on in the book, like I said, they're at a theater, and they try to plan on a way to get Ellen back and to end Tack once and for all, or Collie. Lo and behold, they didn't know Collie was dead at the time. But Ellen ended up taking over Tack's body, or Tack ended up taking over Ellen, and now Ellen is inside of Tack's body, along with the police uniform, and is also about a good 4 or 5 inches taller. And she lures Mary Jackson away from the group, and Mary thinks that Ellen wants to see her son. She doesn't know that she's changed, and once she opens the window, she finds out that she did change, and she tries to escape, but she can't. And then Audrey ended up turning because of these things called the Cantas or Cantacs or whatever. It's a lot of gibberish. I thought. It's these little figures or something, and it makes you turn into a madman or madwoman or whatever. And she ended up strangling David almost to death, but he didn't die. He ended up living through that. And then once they escaped the theater, David, who had a dream while he was in like a very short coma, I guess, or passed out, said that a god met him in his dream when he was passed out, and told the group to go to Mary, who was going to what they call the China Pit. And the China Pit is a kind of a cave or something like that. Not a cave, but like some deep well almost. And what happened down there is a lot of Chinamen and labor workers and foremen who worked there ended up getting killed because they ended up going mad because of Cantas and Cantacs that were down there. And then it dives deeper into why David believes in God so much. It's something that happened to his friend earlier in the book. Like his friend ended up getting hit by a truck, and then David was praying to God that that his friend would be okay, and his friend was pretty much almost dead or nearly dead, and then all of a sudden he was alive and talking and stuff like that. And now going back to the China Pit, Mary ended up escaping the house that Tack, now Ellen, put her in, with all of these scorpions and snakes and spiders and stuff. And then she escapes and goes to the China Pit, tries to run away from Ellen, whose body is really deteriorating and almost dies in the process. And then she goes down, and Ellen can't catch her because Ellen's body has deteriorated so much. She falls and raises her arms up, and then an eagle rests on her hand or her finger, and now the eagle has taken over the Tack body of Ellen, and now the eagle is pretty much like on a, I don't know what the best way to put it is, but he's on a tear to try to get the Collie Entragien Survivor Society, I think it's called. And yeah, there's also other animals that were possessed by Tack, like the coyote guarding the cells, like I said before. There was also a cougar who Ellen possessed in order to get the Collie Entragien Survival Society, and the cougar ended up killing that guy that I said wasn't really important to the book anyway. I forget his name, but back to the China Pit. So she gets an eagle lands on her hand or her finger, and then the eagle turns, and the eagle, while the Collie Entragien Survival Society is going down to the China Pit, the eagle ends up killing Ralph Carver, who is David's dad. And now David is left with no one because Ellen died because she deteriorated because of Tack. His sister died because she got pushed down the stairs by Collie Entragien, and now his dad died because the eagle got him. And what Johnny is saying, Johnny Marinville is supposedly a writer, just like me. Johnny Marinville said that he needs to do this on his own. Pretty much he's the one who ends Tack once and for all, but David wanted to do it, but they couldn't let him because he's too young. I understand that. So Johnny went deeper and deeper and deeper into the China pit, and ended up getting a shotgun shell that he got from David, who ended up getting that shotgun shell from one of the cells earlier in the book. So he put the shotgun shells into the ANFO bag or something, I think it's called, and I forget what ANFO stands for, and then it ends up like exploding or something. And then towards the end of the book, David is really somber, very upset, left with no one. He doesn't have his dad, he doesn't have his mom, he doesn't have his sister. So the only ones that are left of the Collie Entragien Survival Society at the end of the book were Steve, Cynthia, who was the hitchhiker, David, and Mary were the four survivors of the Collie Entragien Survival Society. And they end up going to get Mary's vehicle. I forget what vehicle it is, but yeah, get her car, and then they end up going down Highway 50. David is in the car with Mary. Hopefully she can take care of him until he becomes an adult, maybe. It never said. And Steve is going with Cynthia in his truck, and then David leans his head back to pray, and that's the end of the book. So that's a lot of it actually about Desperation, but here's what I think. So I like how they input God into this. I'm not like super religious, but I do go to church, so I do like how they input God into the book, and it was a very important thing too, because it was like they're saying God is very good, but God is also evil, in the sense that he allows people, or he lets people die, or good people die, or something like that. I'm not sure. But yeah, I like that. But my only downside is after the first 100 or 150 pages, it gets a little boring after a while, and it feels like it kind of drags on until they get to the China pit, which is when it gets interesting once again, and that's in about the last 100 or 150 pages. But when they're in the theater and when they're escaping the cells, nothing really too interesting happened, nothing too important, and I thought it kind of dragged and it got a little boring after a while. But other than that, great book. Really enjoyed it, and it doesn't take place in Maine. It takes place in Nevada, where Highway 50 is located, and they say it is the loneliest highway or something like that, because hardly anyone, you hardly see anyone traveling down it. But yeah, that is Desperation. So on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being the highest, Desperation's going to get a 4 from me. It was just kind of boring through those 300 to 350 pages between the first 100 and the second 100 or 150. But yeah, it ended very well. I really liked the ending. I really liked the beginning. And but yeah, that is my third book review. It is to Desperation by Stephen King. So if you liked what you saw in this video, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and comment below. And I'll see you guys next time with another video. This is Steven signing out.